Hello and welcome back to another episode of Project Pro Expert Talks. And today we have with us another one of our esteemed guests, Subhodeep Mukherjee. So, Subhodeep, welcome to the podcast and thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, but it's a pleasure joining you. Thank you.
Okay, so before we get started with the podcast, Subhodeep, I would like you to give, a brief introduction of what you do and where do you work, and just a brief overview of your current role, basically, to our viewers.
Correct. Okay, Devi. So my name is Subhodeep Mukherjee. I have done masters in statistics in the year 2015 from Calcutta University. I have overall 8.5 years of work ex. I started my career in data science and data analytics from a startup called Rainman Consulting in Bangalore. I stayed there for around 1 year. Then I worked for ITC Infotech. I worked for Citibank, where I have spent the most of my career of around 3.5 years. Then I'm currently working in Amazon for the last 2.5 years, and I'm working here as a data scientist too, which is a mid-senior level data scientist. So my role caters around building end-to-end machine learning solutions for products. Okay, so for different products, and my product is around the reliability and maintenance of different equipments which is there inside Amazon. So that's about me.
Awesome, awesome. So, Shubhadeep, since you have been working at a bank and depending on your past experience, so can you just elaborate, how has the adoption of data science and machine learning revolutionized the way financial institutions operate? Or maybe you
Right.
could share some, specific examples of how data science and machine learning are being applied in, various areas of banking and finance.
Yeah. So for that, we definitely need to know what are the different areas where a bank works. Okay. So the finance as an whole domain is very vast. Okay. So there are work that is mostly, and if I talk about classical banking, so there were two main major uh, streams. One is your marketing, and the other one is your risk. Okay. So, and these always never go hand in hand. Okay. So a marketing always starts with a customer journey. Okay. Any marketing team or any marketing company where you want, so it starts with a customer acquisition where you try to acquire a customer from somewhere else. So you usually get third party data there. Okay. And from the third party data, based on that data, you define a lot of ML models, machine learning algorithms on top of it. And based on that, you predict that which of these customers can be your prospect. So you can send them different emailers or different messages and target these customers. Okay. Then the next part is after you just onboard the customer, then you want to make them engaged, right? So that is the next part of the marketing, which is like a campaign, sending campaigns. Now all these campaigns, the offers that you send, right, we always get a 25% increase or a 25% discount on your next purchase in your credit card or on your bank account, right? So these offers, how am I getting that offer, right? Why not anybody else? Or why am I getting a personal banker? Why not anybody else, right? So there are also a lot of machine learning and data science algorithms are used. It earlier it was done very simply, okay, but problem is that today with people's habits are changing, that becomes more diverse, and predicting that with only one or two attribute is very difficult. So that's why you use there are lot of behaviors, okay, which can be how they're performing in their other bank accounts, other credit cards, and also like how they're behaving in your, and you train a lot of machine learning algorithms, and these are specifically called campaign propensity models. Okay. Apart from your campaign propensity models, you have sales models, like how sales that customer is going to generate. So with that, you know that who are the profitable customers. So with this, you engage your customers, and then after that, you move into the next part is where customers can attract because they might get disengaged. So you definitely want to retain your best customer, top customers. So again, a lot of data analysis and even your predictive modeling comes into play, where you uh, generate that which customer is going to attract. So this are the different, and again you want to re-engage them, so you have to re. So this is the entire customer journey today is being mapped via data science and machine learning models. So this is one part of the game. The other part is the risk factor, because when you are doing a campaign, sending a campaign, right, you might invite a customer uh, who is not a right customer, and he might come and do some money laundering without doing some fraud, right? So there comes the risk part. So there also a lot of fraud models are being used today, okay, in banks. There are models for which we call it in terms of technically we call it probability of default models, okay, which where we predict that which customer is going to default in a loan or on a credit card bill payments, okay. And also which customer is even, and for the fraud models, the best thing is today we are using social media data. So the data is very diverse. We are getting data from different sources, and since we have to relate this with a fraud. So how many Facebook likes he is doing, we have to relate it with a whether he's going to do a fraud or not. That's why we need to train some models which is not conventional, which is, and we need sophisticated models there. Okay, so and so these are the major branches. Besides, there are a lot of operation things that happens, like call center people are calling, and we get that data. So data is coming from everywhere, and we do a lot of text analytics there. Based on the text analytics and NLP work, right, we know that what is the customer preference, how can we make the customer engagement better. Okay, if a customer calls a call center, and the call center is not behaving properly, or maybe not understanding properly, so and maybe that rep is not trained for that matter, right? So then your experience is not good, and maybe you close off your account, or maybe if you're working on a credit card, then you are closing off your card because you are not got a very good experience. So that's also will hit the profit PNL of the bank. But if you are training the model, and you know whenever the call comes, maybe based on the little bit of text transcript, so you know that okay, that this person is actually going for this matter, and you always deploy the best SME call center rep there. So then the experience will be better. So in this way also you can, there are a lot of work done in this operation space today. Okay, and one new space that a bank is today working, where a lot of next gen analytics data science is been work, is the treasury and trade space. Okay, so it's a B2B business, and this entirely work on bitcoins and blockchain technology and how stocks are going up and down, right? So this is totally related to that. And you won't believe that there are a lot of like deep learning models are today deployed in these cases to predict a lot of outcomes. Yeah. So these are the, so yeah, so finance today is lot of, there are a lot of applications of data science.
Yeah, I mean, from what you have told us just now, I believe there's a vast scope of, using and leveraging data science and machine learning techniques in the finance domain. And I believe it's quite helpful in basically, solving a lot of business problems in the finance industry.
Right.
So, Shubhadeep, during your tenure as an assistant manager at a leading bank, can you recount any instance where you actually, successfully implemented data science or machine learning to
Yeah.
maybe address any, critical business challenge? What were the insights, lessons learned from it, or maybe what challenges did you encounter during,
Yeah.
your project?
So yeah. So so I will give, that's the first project that I have handled when I joined the bank. Right? So the problem was, it was a kind of a collaboration. The bank, the card that we are working, it has a collaboration with a retailer. Okay, and what we wanted to target is a very niche customer. Okay, if we want to get the niche customer, right, we can send them a campaign, and then we can ensure that that person is actually doing the shopping with us. Okay, that was the problem. And so when we defined this niche customer, right, it was not very easy to define. Okay, so we had to use three different attributes from three different places. Okay, and we have to build a concatenation or a combination of that. Okay, so when we created that combination of that, and we went to predict that, and it was a predictive framework. So we used some traditional predictive models, and we had a very, the main challenge was that we don't know that what data will work for that model. So we created a lot of features But we when we saw that, we built some very basic frameworks there, and then we saw that those frameworks were not at all working. And always when we were, since it's a niche customer, right, and a cost was involved for that campaign. Okay, so you can't send a customer which is actually not going to come, not going to respond. Okay, so you need a very high response rate for them, very high accuracy in your framework that you build. You have to predict that customer very well. So uh, whenever we were using some traditional methods, okay, we were not getting enough success because the cost was going high, but the revenue that we were getting, that, okay, that was very low. Okay, and yeah, this is some point definitely I want to discuss, that whenever we are working with any kind of machine learning frameworks or any framework you do for any company, right, the main thing is like the profitability that you are getting, right? So no framework is good unless you get profitability from that framework, right? You get the money from that framework. So we were not getting that. So then what we have done is we used lot of, and we have shifted our gears, and we used an XGBoost model there. Okay. And in the data, when we have done it, right, in our pre-analysis, when we have done, we saw that there is a lot of non-linearity in your variables, because it was a concatenation of three normal variable, right? Three different factors that you want to predict together. It is a combination of that. And for that, the independent variables or the features that you are using to predict that, it was little bit complicatedly connected with that variable, okay, with that feature. That is why when we use a machine learning model, we suddenly got a very high lift. Okay, but in a bank, right, you always face a challenge of interpretable AI. Okay, interpretable machine learning means you need to interpret the model to your business. It cannot be a black box. Okay, so there we have to use a lot of techniques like PDP, okay, Shapley values, okay, Lime. So these are different methods, and we finally used PDP, partial dependency plots. Okay, this is a very important part in any machine learning, and definitely want to know that all the viewers of this podcast, that all people think that, okay, if they run an XGBoost code or any machine learning code, that ends, the process ends. That's not the thing. Okay, after that you have an interpretable ML part, right? And if you can show that your variables are this way connected inside the model, and it's not a black box, then any people will believe in your model. Okay, and you know that the behaviors are correct, right? In the long term, that model will hold. Okay, means if a variable which should be very positively related with your main variable, it is showing in the plot that it is negatively related, then there is something wrong in your model. So that is definitely a thing which we face as a challenge. Okay, and also one more thing which you face in a bank is there is, or mostly in banks, that there's the compliance part. Like there are teams which approves your model. So there we face some challenges. There we have to build around 3 4 models apart to show that no, this is our best approach. And we have done it in banks. The good part is you get enough time. We got around 4 to 5 months of time, and then we implemented the model, and every year we have done the validation. I Till the time I have been there, the model was working very well in the validation also, means we didn't have to rebuild anything. So that was the whole challenge.
Wonderful, Shubhadeep. I believe hearing all of that, I think there's a lot of work that goes on behind, any such project in the real world. And I think it's not just about one aspect of it. There are, like multi aspects in
Correct.
data science project in finance. So, Shubhadeep, based on your experience, of course, what are
Mhm.
the specific skills that you believe are crucial for anybody who's aiming to work in data science in the financial or banking sector? And how can
Right.
one like develop or enhance these skills to make themselves competitive in this industry?
Correct. So as I told you, right, that finance sector is very vast in terms of domains, because there are a lot of domains that is coming into play. You have marketing, you have fraud, you have treasury, you have risk, right? So the first thing which is very important is your domain knowledge. Okay, so reading about how a bank works. Okay, or reading about how a financial institution works, what are the different terms that is used. Okay, reading about what is bureau. Okay, so these things works a lot. Okay, because in a bank, unless you know business, there I have worked in other domains where I didn't have to deep dive into the business a lot, but in the banks it's always a business. Unless you know the business, it is very difficult. So that is definitely one part of it. And the other part is definitely you need to know very well, like in deep, about the concepts in deep. Okay, right? Because I told you, like you will get challenged. You will get challenged in a lot of other domains. You build your model, you show profitability, the story ends. But here, your approach will get challenged. Okay, that why you have chosen that approach. So for that, definitely technically, you need to be very sound. Okay, like if suppose when we used XGBoost model, okay, we have to go through the whole paper of T. Ankishen, okay, that is the XGBoost base paper, which we have to show them. Okay, so and it is better, right? Like to go through lot of projects, okay, on banks, right? I saw in the Project Pro also there are some projects which is like anomaly detection using autoencoders where you are detecting a fraud, okay, bank fraud, or there is a churn modeling, right? So these kind of projects might also help you to know what kind of data gets ingested in this banks, how, because banking data is very different. Okay, credit card data is very different with, or a loan data is very different with respect to your other domains. Okay, those data is more straightforward. Here you have lots of data, lots of variables. You have EBIT, you have credit limit. Okay, if you are working for a credit card. Okay, so these things you definitely need to know, and from there, if you know the data, if you know the business, and if you are very good in depth of, maybe you know like 3 4 methods, okay, from statistics or machine learning, but you need to know that in very deep, because you will get challenged in your role. So yeah, these are the skills.
Okay, so Shubhadeep, when you talk about, gaining such in-depth knowledge of, technical concepts and everything, so any specific tools or resources that might have, proven to be helpful and beneficial for you while you were working in the finance industry, or tools that you would like to recommend to, individuals who are looking forward to, joining this
Yeah.
industry?
So yeah, I think what you can have is like Python. Okay, is very important. Okay, big data tool is very important. Okay, and today one thing is very important, that you deploy your system, your mechanisms in real life systems, right? Because it's not about building your model. Your model need to be scored every day. Okay, that is very important. Okay, and for that also, in Project Pro you have lot of platform level facilities, right, where you can deploy a real time project. Also, from your technical skills, I also like R is also very important sometimes. Okay, because a lot of companies still relies on R. Okay, and in case of a banks today, a lot of people like use traditional softwares. Okay, like SAS. Okay, it's a paid software, and you do lot of calculations there. Okay, most of your data works are done there, and then you just move the data towards in big data platforms which the bank has. So definitely you need to know SAS, you need to know big data platform. So these are definitely some of the things. And R, as I told again, like in Project Pro, I have seen that some of the projects are there where you do or do the implementation in R. So I think R, Python, SAS, and little bit of big data knowledge and little deployment knowledge in any cloud platform like AWS or GCP, it should help.
Great, great. So Shubhadeep, okay, a last question for you. What are the critical, steps or strategies maybe that aspiring financial data scientists should follow to, land their first job in the industry? Any like tips or advice you'd like to give the individuals who are passionate about, financial data science and building a career in it?
Right. So for that, definitely I told you, like first is the domain knowledge is very important, right? And for a fresher, what we always see when we recruited also is that the logical sense should be very good. Okay. And the next thing which holds for I think any industry, right? That people feel that machine learning is like very top level and like running 5 lines of code, but that is not the thing. Okay. uh, as I again told you, like you will get challenged. Okay, so anything that you know, you need to know very well. Maybe you know three concepts. Okay, but those three concepts you need to know very well. Okay, it is not that people feel that deep learning is very important today, but it is not like that. Okay, 90% of the problems we solve by a traditional machine learning problem. Okay, even you use a logistic regression or a linear regression, you need to know it very well, because in banks we use lot of things which is very in depth. Like we use Kolmogorov-Smirnov statistics, we use precision, we use recall. We don't restrict ourselves to only accuracy of score or precision or ROC curve. We use multiple approaches there for one concept. Okay, so here the main thing is that whatever you know very in depth, and you're maybe you don't know five things, you know two things, that is fine, but those two things should be very well. And also from a business standpoint, right, I already mentioned some resources. So we should know at least how a credit card industry works. Okay, there are if somebody is working in a bank or in a risk sector, right? Then there is a book by Naeem Siddiqui. Okay, that is a credit score, intelligent credit scoring. That is the book name. There's a book by SAS. Okay, so this you can also read. The people can read and they can get very good knowledge there, and that will help them in their job search.
All right, so that is it for our viewers. Thank you so much, Shubhodeep. This podcast has been wonderful and quite informative, actually. And I think it's going to help a lot of, individuals and aspiring financial data scientists. You have helped them a lot with your experience and, your tips and advice. So thank you so much for taking out time and joining the podcast with us, Shubhodeep.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.